Alright, Joe. Here's a short video just describing some of the things I've added to the proposal folder on Box. So I just came up with a proposed scope of work, and this is just for us internally, but I think it might be worthwhile for you to have as you're building the proposal. First off, I think we have the capacity to run BRAT, RCAT, RAT, and NAT, I think, for the whole Green River Basin. And so what that means specifically is I've kind of looked back at what we have for BRAT. Obviously we have a capacity model that we ran years ago, but I propose that we rerun it for the Utah portion. We use 2014 land fire data. Colorado we have not run BRAT yet, so that'd be a requirement. We'd have to run it for that portion. Wyoming, that should be up to date. And then as far as conflict model goes, I think we need to incorporate those things that we've been talking about as far as tolerances and having the managers basically dial in, turn the knobs, dial in the constraints, and so that would be stakeholder input. So these would be quite a bit different than they are now, but kind of the same logic. As far as the management model goes, I think we could kind of retool that a little more to make it more of a decision support tool. We have that output map, but I think we could come up with some pretty easy ways to make that a little more useful for managers. And maybe it'd be incorporating more of the RCAT and RAT and NAT models into that, as we've kind of talked about in recent discussions. And so these could be more of an integrated approach. These decision support tools would be integrated more than they are now. So as far as RCAT goes, just as a refresher, the Utah portion was first done under the BLM contract, and we used the Fluvial Corridor tool, and we've kind of went a long way since then. So I think it'd be worthwhile of just going through it, rerun it with VBAT, and then seeing where we really need to refine it and do some additional manual edits, so we'd have a better riparian extent, better riparian valley bottom mapping for those areas. And then it also might be worth exploring intermittent streams. I know that NHD folks have done a pretty good job, like in the Weber. It'd be good to see how far they've extended it. I think they've been working in eastern Utah quite a bit, so this might be an opportunity for us to capture those intermittent streams. And I think at least for the RCAT tools, and then potentially decide how many of those warrant running for BRAT as well. Maybe the really strong intermittents, those that are really close to being perennial flows, would be worth running. And so we have not run valley bottoms really for some of the extent within Wyoming. I guess when we did the eco-region, we had some of those. So the same would apply for the Colorado portion of the Colorado Plateau eco-region. And so we'd have to just fine-tune those valley bottoms. And then for Wyoming, we did kind of a very coarse valley bottom for just the management model. So you'd have to go in there and do some manual editing. And then kind of what would be kind of cool, like for RCAT, so moving on to RVD, so the riparian veg departure, we have these data sets in the price and the Escalante where we have this higher resolution data, and we could officially rerun those areas with these higher, hopefully higher accuracy data sets. And then we'd have to officially run it for Colorado and Wyoming, because we haven't even done it there. Same goes for RCAT. I haven't mentioned here, but it might be worth kind of exploring some other components of RCAT. If there's other things we could consider in there, if, for example, incision, if we could get at any of that. I think there's, where data is available, we can easily incorporate that in the model, I think. So, as we get into it, I think there might be some opportunities there. And then as far as rat goes, just talking to Jordan, it sounds like we should have something operational. Maybe a good way to test run it and calibrate and validate Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming portions. And then NAT as well. I mean, we've got NAT tools now. I mean, it might be worth running, at least doing test runs and see how far we can get with them. But I think it could be something that could be delivered pretty easily, and it could be more of that. If we think of more of a composite decision support tool, it could be that getting at kind of geomorphic, I guess, structure or condition, if we can get to condition, but at least get us towards retyping and some type of condition analyses. I think within the next year we're going to be far enough along where I think that won't be overly time consuming just to tack that on. Okay, so that's the one document. So it's called Proposed Scope of Work, and it just kind of for our internal consumption. And then the other thing I did is I took Kent Sorensen's Sorno's letter of recommendation, and I just kind of retooled it. So he wrote a letter for the work we're doing in the North Fork John Day, or actually the whole John Day. And I just kind of retooled it for our purposes, and I was thinking you have a read through, add to it as you want. We send it to Sorno, make sure he signs off on it, and then we could use something similar just to send out to the other folks. We could actually say, this is an example. This is Sorno's example. I mean, maybe fill in, use this where appropriate, but you can also adjust it for where you're going to be using these decision support tools and how you can contribute to the project as well. I mean, basically what I thought was important is first, he's already using BRAT. I throw in ARCOT as well, but I think what we're really saying is we're gonna do some refinements of it. We're going to update and refine it, and then we're going to extend it to the whole basin, and then we're also going to go out. We're going to provide these workshops to get people to actually use it, and then go on the ground and start implementing. And so that's what I kind of highlighted in this letter of support. Another thing that we should think about are these letters of commitment. And so really I think what Justin should be writing, in talking with Justin this morning, he's part of the science team for the Green River LCC focal area, and so he could probably write both a letter of support and a letter of commitment that he's committed to this project, by providing an area for us to go in, and he's very supportive of using BDAs in this area and so on. So hopefully these two documents help you in getting started, and hopefully this weekend or whenever you have time we'll be able to get started on that, and then I'll be back Monday to come in and help out again. Okay, thanks.